Oh, that's super handy.
I should
Hey
probably turn
everybody,
off
and
the.
welcome to a slightly sad episode of John Talks to Lamb and Lamb Talks to John.
I don't know if slightly is the right term for it, but yeah, it's gonna be definitely heavier than usual.
Yeah, well, we were discussing right before we started because I wasn't personally sure if I wanted to bring this up on the podcast because it's kind of a, personal topic. It's very sad, at least, for those of us that are directly here. I mean, just in general, it's a sad concept. But I suppose I should just metaphorically shatter the my pickaxe into the
Yeah,
ice that is
you
this
you're doing what they call beating around the bush
topic
for good
wall.
reason,
Yes.
though. I mean, it's not something to talk about lightly, you know.
Yes. I was gonna say, how long is the bit now that how long can I go before I actually say anything about it?
I
Because
mean, knowing us, we can go for the entire episode, and then at the end be like, "Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, see, I don't want to bring up any Johns because if I'm not as
you're
if I'm not
John."
as funny or chipper as I usually am, my uproariously hilarious self. It's
Mm-hmm.
because my on Wednesday, which was at the time of recording, that would be Friday, Thursday, 3 days
3?
ago.
Yeah.
Yes, my grandfather passed away. It's a
R.I.P.
yeah, it's a he was 85, I think, or
Oh
84.
wow.
He was an old dude. I mean, in his years of life, I think he probably lived three whole lifetimes, I would say.
3? Why 3?
Well, because he grew like I kind of split his life up into three big chunks.
Mhm.
Like there was his early childhood, right? Up until he joined the Navy because he was a Navy lad.
Okay.
Went off, sailed boats, did some cool stuff. Then he came back and started a family. And that was tier three. So tier
Tier
one,
3.
young adult. Tier two, military service. Tier three, family man.
Okay, I see. So it's more like the 3 different main phases of his life.
Yes. That's at least how I've pictured it in my head. I've never
Mhm.
actually said that out loud, but that's how I imagine it.
I mean, that's how it be sometimes.
I imagine a lot of people have that kind of chunked out their life.
Yeah, I guess would we be in our second phase right now? Mm,
I think I'm actually in my third phase.
your third already?
Yeah. Because I
Okay.
sort of consider, not that three is the maximum. I think you can
Mhm.
have a whole lot of them, which I guess I'm kind of splitting it up by like major life changing situations.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, I was a kid and then I lived in Japan for my formative high school years. And I kind of consider that its own little chunk. So one would have been Texas childhood,
Okay.
then Japan, uh, not adulthood. What's in between those? Adolescence? No, that's
Teenage?
teenage years. Yes, teenage years in
Uh-huh.
Japan. Then college and onwards. Because so far,
Okay.
college has been the major thing that's happened in the last since I got back from Japan.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. I guess I'm also in my third stage. I had my youth, and then I had my mom passing away, and then college. I guess graduating from college. So this is my graduating from college onward. This is me trying to establish myself within the world, as a successful person of successful stature.
Yeah. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
another big event that'll happen. Like striking it rich.
9/11.
That could be the
Oh yeah,
next. That could be the next big life event that
not the
puts you into
towers.
quarter four. Huh?
Huh?
The towers.
Oh no, never forget.
three
You
more
know?
three more months. We can't bring that up yet.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Are we? Hold on.
Huh?
I gotta look at a calendar real quick.
I mean, I'm looking down at the bottom right of my computer screen and it's 6. So,
No, I I was thinking if we're gonna be able to do one on the day, but it's on a Wednesday.
well, we could always, post date it.
That's true. That's true.
Because
We'll
some
pre-record.
of the other topics that I have to talk about are things that have happened like last week. They're not coming
Mhm.
up. But, the reason that I wanted to bring this up, well, okay, let me rephrase that. What I found most interesting about the process that we've been going through, which I think would probably be called the grieving process, the 5
More
stages
than
of
likely,
is it the 5 stages of grief? I think that's what it is.
yes.
Because this, I would say, is probably the first time it's not the first time that somebody in my family has died, and I've lost my grandparents on my other side, but I was also a lot younger and less connected to them. I mean, I literally lived with them for the last 2 years. I've been taking care of my grandma and my granddad as well,
Hmm.
and so it's been this is I would say, the closest that I have gone no, the closest that I have been to the process of death in my entire life, which I think I feel, lucky about, to be honest. Like,
Hmm.
it took me 27 years to get to to have somebody super close to me pass away,
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
which I don't think a lot of people had that. You didn't have the luxury of I mean,
Unfortunately, no.
would you I guess I wouldn't call it a luxury. Would you say that it's better in your opinion, would you rather have oh man, that's a bad question.
No, no, go
Would you
ahead.
rather have had the experience of losing a immediate close family member earlier in life or later in life?
Honestly, later, for the simple fact that I was not fully developed and still not fully developed as a person yet. And there's a lot in my life that definitely would have been a lot different if I lost somebody later on in my life when I was more of an established adult. I would have a lot more, well, hopefully I would have been in a place where I could grieve properly, you know?
Right.
Because when you have to grieve as a child, I feel like it's a lot more different than as an adult. Because
True.
one of the biggest things that people have always told me is that I'm very mature for my age. Um, and that's because as a child, when something like that happens, you basically are forced to grow up long before you're supposed to. And so for me, and for some other people I know who lost their somebody close to them when they were even younger than I was, they had to be forced to grow up at such a young age that a lot of their a lot of the things change for them. One of them is that you don't get to live out the rest of your childhood the way you're supposed to. Instead, you
True.
have to sit here and be a tiny adult, especially depending on like your role in your family. I considered myself like the rock for a lot of people in my family, so I had to sit here and try to play strong for everybody. When in the meantime, I was falling apart in the shadows type shit. Um,
Yeah.
and then
I
for some people,
mm,
like some of my relatives who were much younger than I was, my sister specifically, um, the trauma response could be severe to the point to where it kind of stunts her maturity and her growth, and she's stuck at the same age that she was for years, and she's unable to mature and get older for a long time. Like, uh, not to put her business out there, but I personally saw that she was 10 years old when my mom passed away.
okay,
Um,
yeah.
or I guess our mom passed away. Uh, and she was pretty much a 10-year-old until she was about 17.
Oh, okay, sure.
Uh, and that kind of caused her to a lot of her growth to be stunted emotionally, m- uh, maturely, psychologically. Let's go that one.
Sure.
Um, but it caused a lot of her growth to be stunted because she was basically stuck in this cycle. And whenever she had an opportunity to, show that she had matured and gotten older than what she used to be, something would happen and it basically would reset her back to that same age of 10 years old. Um,
Oh, I see. I
and
man, I was kind of, well, I clearly falsely imagined that being younger, you had a sort of veil of innocence that would more or less protect you from fully understanding the gravity of the situation.
sometimes, I guess it really just depends on who you have around you and your support system and stuff like that.
Hmm.
For me, that whole situation is the reason why I have such a my religious faith has dwindled a lot because of that situation. And
Oh, I see.
it's a whole thing, honestly. But I was 15 when my mom passed away, so like my view of the world completely shifted at that point. Because again, up until that point, I was just a 15-year-old. I was living life honestly. I was just doing what 15-year-olds do. But
Sure.
then after that point, you can't just go through life like ignorant and innocent because you're like, wow, I kind of know some of the truths of the world, and the world really sucks.
Yeah, I wish I knew the like average age that people experienced that kind of loss. Then I could sort of judge where
Mhm.
like I'm at based against like how other people are. Like, do the
Yeah,
vast majority of people by the time they're 30 have they experienced this, or is it
I f-
usually you get more into like middle age? Because then we're talking about like your parents passing on, which usually
mhm.
does not happen until you're. I mean, my mom is like 60, 65, something
Yeah.
like that. So her parents are that. This is her dad that's passed.
Mhm.
So she obviously has experienced other family members, like her sister passed on uh, many years ago, but like she was still, oh boy, yeah, I think into her 30s by that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think in a perfect world, if people just, passed away due to just like age and sickness, I feel like a lot of people would have experienced that well into their adulthood, than early on, like as a youth, if you will, or even as a young adult. But like because of a whole bunch of unforeseen circumstances, or just like health things, or just accidents, even a lot of accidents, people experience something like that a lot more and a lot younger these days, I assume, at least, because there's just so
Yeah.
much going on.
So
uh
from what I'm seeing on according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the
mhm.
most common age for mothers and fathers is 50 to 54.
Yeah.
So people, so like, oh my gosh. So like in another 20 years, I'll be in the average range to lose my parents.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because they're like 30 years older than you. uh and so like they've lived their lifetimes. um
Yeah, yeah,
but my mom, she wasn't even 40 yet, unfortunately.
yeah,
um but hers was for health related reasons. It wasn't like old age or anything like
yeah.
that.
Rather than just a old breakdown kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. Things like that, they're tough for everybody, honestly, even for those who are able to, bottle things up and put them on the shelf.
Well, yeah.
uh
Speaking of that, I've
uh-huh.
so okay. I don't know if I don't think we had this conversation because I think I started drinking before I met you. But
Probably.
I had the conversation has happened now twice in my head because I read online. I've heard a ton about the types of drunk that people are.
Mhm.
Like the happy drunk, the sad drunk, the angry drunk. And I was always really concerned, that I would be an angry drunk. I didn't think I was
Mm.
like, there's no way I could be
I can see it
because
though.
yeah, I was like, but what if I am? What if I'm like not allowed to drink with people because I just get angry and start picking fights at the bar?
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't think of the three big ones, happy, sad, and angry. I don't think I've ever been angry. I have been
Mhm.
happy and then I have been sad, but I have never been that third one yet. And I haven't yet discovered a reason why I would be. Like, even though weird things have happened while I'm drunk. But
Mhm,
that was
mhm.
a conversation that I had with myself before I started drinking. Like, do I want to find out? Like that I have this demon inside of me, this
Oh,
inner
no.
rage that comes out when I drink. And eventually I crossed that barrier and discovered that no, I actually don't think I do.
Mhm.
It could still happen, but at this point experienced it enough times that I feel comfortable drinking and, sort of letting go without being concerned about drunk me doing something like punching my brother,
I mean, is
for
that the worst
example.
thing though?
Well,
No. I wonder. It's possible that maybe you just haven't allowed yourself to get to that point. But I feel like if that were to happen, I feel like you'd probably like be blackout, like sloppy drunk, and at that point you have nothing holding you back.
I mean, I've never
Uh,
actually been that. I've tried. I've tried to black out.
uh,
I physically can't do it. My body can't do it.
I think you're just an alcoholic.
No, no, because I've drunk with alcoholics and I can
Hmm.
outdrink them. I mean, it could be because,
You're t-
genetics. It could be because
yeah,
I have a higher body mass. But I've
true.
consistently been able to outdrink everybody else when they all pass out, and I'm just sitting there going like I feel more sick to my stomach than I'm full
That's
than
fair.
I can't physically lift the drink and I'm spilling it all over myself.
So you think you could outdrink me?
Probably, yeah. I think even
Well,
now, even
I feel like
almost 100 pounds
you
down,
should
I
be
totally
ashamed of
can.
yourself by saying probably. You know good and damn well you can outdrink me. You know
Well,
I'm a
I don't
lightweight.
know. You've been on a journey for the past 2 years,
Jonathan,
You
Jonathan.
go out drinking more than I do. I could tell you that.
No, no, I
Yes, you
don't
do. Yes, you
actually.
do.
Okay, how often do you think I go out drinking?
Oh, probably once every other week.
That's a lie. That's wrong. 100%.
How often do you go out to drink?
Maybe once a month.
Okay, so maybe we're on that. We have a similar experience
And
then,
even
because
then, I don't think I've been drunk. I think I've been drunk maybe once this year.
oh, okay. See, I haven't. I have not. I've only casually drunk with like family and friends.
See, it was
I've never
also
gone to a
casual for
party
me
point.
too. I haven't been to a party either. I mean, we went. So the one time that I did get drunk this year that I can remember at least, because like again, I don't drink that often.
Sure.
Usually, what I do whenever I drink is I'll drink until I start feeling something. I'm like, okay, this is good. I don't really need that much more, and like maybe it'll start going away. I'm like, okay, maybe another drink, because I'm
Yeah, you
very
got to
much a
ride the. You keep the energy level the same.
I'm very much a lightweight, which we both know that. But the
Right.
time that I did get drunk, it was for, I believe, my friend's graduation, and we had went to Free Play, the arcade.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
and we had drank quite a bit, and me and them, me and the person who graduated, we were the only ones who really got drunk because again, we're both very lightweights.
Nice.
And we just kept drinking, and then we were having a great time. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then we went to the food trucks. It was great. I was definitely drunk at that point because I had sat down and I tried to get up and I was like, oh
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
wow,
No, that's like where the fun. That's the barrier to at the very end of fun is
yeah,
you're like, all right, I can't move, and that's awesome. But
oh
the
yeah,
problem is
no,
that I can't move.
yeah, but yeah, I don't be getting drunk like that. Like even last night, I went to Free Play again with my other friend, the one who slept over,
hmm
and he was having a great time. He down
Yeah.
like three drinks one after the other because he's got problems.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. But you, I think I've experienced that you also are not sort of an angry drunk.
no, no. One, I saw this meme, I guess, on Twitter, and it was like, the way you can tell the difference between a shy person and a boring person is get them drunk. If you become fun, then you're just shy. If
Oh
you
yeah.
don't, you're just boring. I'm definitely a shy person.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Thank
I
God.
haven't heard that quote before. That's a good one. I like that
I
a
would
lot.
hate being boring,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. Once I get some alcohol in my system and like start getting tipsy, I'm pretty fun. The inhibitions go away a little bit. The social anxiety goes away a little bit. You'll see me doing a little dance in the club, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, and when I say a little
Doing a
dance, I
little
mean a little
dance.
dance.
Yeah. The shepherd shuffle, something,
The
something.
little bounce in the corner.
Right. Yeah. You got one hand in the pocket, one hand on the drink, just kind of.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? You guys want to play games? Let's fucking go right now. We can go. I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
Well, see, because this conversation that I had with myself about the like getting the about the type of drunk that I was, I
Hmm.
had that exact same conversation with myself about what kind of griever, which I don't know if that's the right word, I might be. Because
Yeah.
there do seem like there's a couple of archetypes. There's like the whaler,
Hmm.
that makes a lot of noise and sheds a lot of tears. But then
That's
there's
not
also
you.
there's the stoic, you know,
I feel like it's more your
stone
style.
face.
Mhm.
Let's see, that's two of them.
Are
Then there's,
these
I
the ones
guess,
that
sort
you
of a
figured
middle
out in your
ground.
head,
Well,
or like
yeah, these were ones because I haven't seen the happy, sad, angry, drunk. I've sort
yeah,
of seen people experience grief in many different ways. There may be a list. Are you googling that right now?
yeah, you know
Yeah,
me. That's
because
my thing.
the ones that I determined were there was the wailer, there was the stoic, and then there was kind of the middle ground where
Mhm.
you're you know holding it together, but also sort of experiencing it
Mm.
and shedding tears and able to comfort people and be comforted.
Well, let me tell you something.
Is there a list? Yes, please.
There's something that's super important. There is no correct way to grieve. So let's get
Okay,
that
I
out of
mean,
the way
yes,
now.
yes, that is yes.
Uh,
So I'm saying
for
there's
all those
archetypes.
listening,
Yeah, everybody has a different archetype.
the website I found, there's only four. They put four big groups of them. There's instrumental grievers, intuitive grievers, dissonant grievers, and blended. Which I guess technically three, and then a mix of them.
Okay.
Instrumental ones, they intellectualize in, what the fuck?
Intellectualize.
Intellectualize their
That
emotions.
sounds like stoic to me. Okay.
Action oriented physical ways to express their grief. They're
Right.
reluctant to talk about their feelings and they only express in private. They seek solitude to reflect. So these seem to be like the people who are more logical,
Yeah.
uh, and they don't. I don't know. I want to say they don't know how to express their emotions, but they express things more physically and intellectually than like letting their emotions kind of overcome them. I feel like those are the people who kind of try to they understand the grieving process, but it might be harder for them just because they have to deal with big boy emotions, which they don't
Yes.
usually have to deal with, but they're
Yeah.
kind of like, I have to go through this because I know I have to, but I don't know how to go through it properly, I guess. And like
I'll
they,
pause you right there and say
yeah,
that that's the one that I thought I was going to be.
mm-hmm,
I thought I was going to be like this is why I call it the stoic because it was
yeah,
kind of okay. This information has registered, uh, and now I need to figure out what are the next steps. I thought that was going to be what my initial reaction was. And to be
yeah.
fair, okay, yeah, right. And yes, and please continue.
Okay, so then, ooh, so in the U.S. culture, men usually lean more towards this one,
Yeah,
which makes sense.
yep,
Very much, I agree with the whole stoic kind of thing. Definitely, got to be strong for everybody. Don't really show that I'm going through it. So, I could be the rock for other people to
right.
lean on and stuff like
There's a
that.
lot of people around here that are crying, and we need
Yeah,
somebody to not cry so that things can progress. Yeah.
yeah. Somebody has to be, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Type beat. Then we have the intuitive grievers. Those are the people who are a lot more emotional. They openly express their feelings and they're verbal about it. Those are the people who seek comfort and support from other people. They tend to be more physically exhausted, anxious, and problems concentrating, whatever that means.
They have
And
problems concentrating.
that's what it says.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They typically are the ones who express more sorrow and more depressive states, traits. I don't know. They seem to be more depressed. And then the U.S. culture, that's more so typically women would be more seen as intuitive because they're typically more emotional and more in tune with their emotions.
Right.
And then we have the dissonant grievers, and they encounter a conflict between the way they express their grief internally and outwardly, which produces a persistent discomfort and a lack of harmony. The dissonance may be due to family, cultural, or social traditions. Although their grief may be profound and strongly felt, they struggle to hide their true feelings in order to preserve the image they wish to protect or project to the public. Others may condemn themselves and feel very guilty for not feeling whatever they think is expected for them to feel. I feel like that might be closer to what you're going through.
That I think is more in line with what I'm experiencing now. Yeah.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. It's definitely like it's kind of stoic, but it's kind of stoic, but more confusing because it sounds like you on one hand you're grieving clearly you're definitely emotional, but on the other hand you don't want other people to see, but it's a
Yes,
problem.
I think what it's describing is sort of like a dichotomy, like a cut between like a practiced outward thing
Hmm.
and a unexpected internal thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like I was saying with the big boy emotions. On the outside, you're trying to be that stoic person, but on the inside, you're being ripped apart almost. And that I would say I'm more of the obviously outwardly emotional one, but I
Okay,
tried
sure.
to be more of that stoic one. Um, at least I started off that way. When I started before when I began grieving, because I felt like I needed to be that person who everybody could lean on, the person that everybody laughs with, stuff like that. Um, but then, shortly after that is when I quickly learned that I forgot that I'm an emotional being. Uh,
Right.
yeah. I'm definitely not one who likes to cry in public. I hate people seeing me cry, but that's, one of those situations where it could not be helped at all.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But even still, I try to be that person that people could, depend on and look towards for comfort and support. Um, I guess I could share a couple anecdotes about when my mom passed away. I don't know. This is about to get real deep and real dark, but it's okay. I
Yeah,
think
no, yeah, yeah. You can go as
this
far
is
as you
this
want to
is
go.
good
I
for
mean,
both of us. We're processing a lot of grief.
yeah,
Because you've heard that this is John's kind of going through something right now. My mom, the anniversary of when she passed is actually next week, so this is very what's the word cathartic for me to talk about because I don't talk about
sure.
these things.
Yeah, we may not
Uh,
record an episode next week. Just
yeah,
this could be the time to talk about it now.
yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna be just putting all our business out there, but it's fine because they don't know who we are. They don't know what we look like. We're
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's not
voices.
like
Yeah,
we've
yeah, yeah.
released, content of our faces online at any
It's not
point.
like everybody who watches this know us personally or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah. So okay. Oh boy. Wow, I haven't talked about this stuff in a while. This is very.
If you
This is
don't
be
want
very.
to, do you
No,
need a
no, no,
minute?
no.
Because
I feel
I
like
can discuss my
listen.
reaction to that.
You
Your
talk a
new
lot
three
these
stages.
days. I feel like I need to, especially because you're going through stuff. I feel like I also want to talk about things
Sure.
sometimes.
Okay.
Now, okay, so there's different parts, different stages of when the grief really hit. And I know like the first stage I think is supposed to be like I think the first stage is denial. Um yeah, the
Of the
first
five stages of grief. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
think so.
And let me tell you, when everything was going on, I was absolutely in denial because okay, so the day my mom passed, it just felt like a normal day. It wasn't like rain outside. It was a sunny day. The vibes were great. I think I was just in my room reading a book, which I don't even read anymore, which is crazy. And long story short, my brother busted into my room saying, "Hey, mom's not waking up," and I was like, "What you mean?" And so he was on the phone with paramedics, and probably the worst part about this whole experience was, they told us that we need to put her on the floor. And I don't
Okay.
know if you know, or if you've ever dealt with somebody who is no longer living, but when they say somebody is cold, stiff, and lifeless,
Yeah.
they mean that.
Wow. Okay.
And so we had to put my mom on the floor, and that's very,
Why
it's
would they
very.
want you to do that? That's
I don't know. I think because she was on the couch, and I guess maybe to put her on a level surface in case we needed to do like chest compressions or something.
oh,
Um,
okay.
But yeah, so he was on the phone with paramedics. He was such a trooper. My brother definitely was more of the stoic type, growing up at least, because he felt like he needed to be that person.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to
And I
push
tried to
through
be
on
that
the phone
person.
with somebody and then
Listen,
start like
he
that's
he
that's
he was
incredible.
stronger than I would have been, but like it was all disbelief at that point, and then my sister came out of her room. Mind you, she's 10 years old,
Right,
and
okay.
so my big brother senses come on, and I just completely shut off, and I'm like, "I can't even think about this right now. My main goal, I need to take my sister and protect her." So we went into my brother's room. I was like, "Hey, you wanna play your favorite game, Bolt on the Xbox?"
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so she gets stuck on a level, and so I was helping her through the level, and the whole time, she's playing the game. I'm just looking outside, and there's just more and more people just kind of piling onto the yard, and everybody's crying and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, oh no.
Yeah. I think you
And
made the
so
right move. As a smart, quick thinking right there.
yeah, I do that sometimes. The big
Yeah.
brother gene definitely kicked off at that point. One of my grandmother's friends had came in and kind of was there just hanging out with us for a while. I don't know what was going on with my brother, but I know he was definitely going through it. But yeah, eventually the paramedics got here. A lot of family and friends got here, and we had went out through the back door, and they had put the sheet over her, which usually that means that
Yeah.
they're gone. And I didn't. I was still trying to be that stoic guy and not show those feelings or anything and stay strong. But then I got to the yard, everybody was just crying and bawling, and my sister's like, "What's going on?" And I was just like, "There's no fucking way, bro." Like, she literally said goodnight to me last night. We were just vibing. We were
Yeah.
joking, having a great time. And I think the thing that made the damn break was my grandpa, because he was the manliest man I ever knew in my life. Because he was the only positive male figure in my life.
Oh, okay,
Um,
yeah.
and he was bawling, and he was crying, and he goes, "I'm sorry, but your mom, she's gone." And that's what caused me to just start bawling, and that was
Yeah.
crazy. Um, but, like, I don't know, it was weird because, in those kind of times, you're gonna want to be around family and, people that you're close to and stuff like that, but I didn't want to be around anybody because I just didn't wanna be reminded of all that, and so I ended up just going over to one of my neighborhood friend's house and staying the night with him that night until, my grandma came, because, it was nice to have a little distraction, but that shit was crazy. But
Yeah.
even and kind of going with the whole, I still try to be that support and that rock for people at my mom's funeral. People would go up and say things that they needed to or that they wanted to say, do little speeches and whatnot. Everybody was sad and crying. It was very emotional, obviously. And so and somebody, the person, I think it was my pastor, because it was held by our church, thankfully, because then we didn't have to worry about funeral expenses. Um,
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, that worked
but
out
yeah,
nice.
my pastor was like, does anybody else have something they want to say? And so 15-year-old me was like, I need to go up there and say something. Everybody's sad. I need to make everybody feel better.
Oh my gosh,
Mind you,
dude,
my mom
whoa.
just passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to go say something because if I need everybody to feel better. Because I'm the kind of person who's like, I don't want my funeral to be sad. I want my funeral to be fun. Obviously it's gonna be sad whenever I pass away. But like my brain was like, knowing my mom, she would not want everybody to be just all sad and grieving. She would want everybody to have a good time. So let me go up there and show everyone I am my mother's son. And so I went up
So
there
you
and I
went up
gave a
there
little
and you did, like, 15 minutes of stand-up?
yeah, I pulled an Adam Sit no. I cracked a couple of jokes and I was like, yeah, my mom, this and this and that, and she had such an impact on everybody, blah blah blah. And then I don't know, I think I finally looked down at her in the casket, and like obviously, you have the wake where everybody walks by and you see her, just in the casket and whatnot.
Right,
But
right.
I think I was still in that denial phase, and so when I looked down at her right there, that's when it really hit me, and I couldn't finish my speech because I just started bawling,
Oh, yeah.
and that shit was crazy, bro. Um, and yeah, it was I don't know why I felt the need to be that person for everybody. I feel like I did kinda lift the spirits a little bit, but my mom just passed away. I'm literally looking at her right there, and still the way that I was raised and the way that she was as well, I just felt like I needed to be a little bit of a light to everybody's life, despite the fact that I was actively breaking more and more as I talked.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, very emotional person. Grief sucks. And hell, even after, like, shortly after my mom passed away, we were hanging out with my nana at her friend's house, and like I was acting like everything was okay, but at nighttime, I would just have my headphones in and I'd be listening to comfort music, and I would just cry. And it was fine because nobody could see or hear that I was crying. People definitely heard me crying,
Oh
but
yeah.
in my brain, I was like, "Nobody can hear me, so it's fine now, I can finally, let it go," type shit. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've never been one to like crying in public or showing those like strong emotions like that in public, because
Sure.
I feel like everybody has this perspective of me. I don't think that's the right word. But everybody has this idea of who Isaiah is in their brain, and because of that, I feel like I had to at least live up to that expectation in a way of, okay, I have to be this happy-go-lucky kid that everybody knows. Can't let everybody see that I'm struggling or going through it, even though I am, and it's pretty obvious I am. But I can't let them see that, you know?
Yeah. I think that's. I think they call that the comedian's prerogative.
Whatever that means.
Well, Robin Williams.
Mhm.
Hilarious dude, world class entertainer, also extremely depressed all the time.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
They
They say that
always,
the people who laugh the loudest, smile the biggest are the ones who hurt the most.
yeah, I think I've seen that quote on a T-shirt before or a coffee mug.
Yeah, I've always kind of related to that because I've always been that guy, but it's
I've always
fine.
refused to relate to that because I'm like, I'm not gonna be so cringy.
I mean, it's the truth though,
I feel like there certainly is some
or
aspect
there's
of it.
truth to it rather, I
Yeah.
should
Oh
say.
yeah.
I mean, people who like to make others laugh may not always be true, but a lot of people who just enjoy spreading, you know, laughter and joy and whatnot, it can come from a place of they don't want others to feel how bad they feel sometimes. That's how it starts, at least for me. And now I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm just a funny guy. So if y'all don't laugh at me, you're anti-black.
I'll get sad, and then you're gonna have to just, yeah, you have to
Yeah.
just deal with that at that
And then
point.
it's gonna be your fault, and then we're gonna have a problem. Exactly. So you get it.
Yeah, so it looks like you kind of just skipped. So I was looking at the as you were talking through your
Mhm.
experience, I was looking at the 5 stages, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you kind of went basically straight from denial to like, I mean, maybe depression.
Oh, no. Let me tell you, I definitely went through all 5 stages. The ones that that were outwardly seen were definitely denial, and depression, and acceptance. The anger and the bargaining, though, that was a lot more internal than external because, uh, remember earlier when I said this whole situation is the reason why I have, a lot of beef with religion?
Okay, sure,
That's where the anger came in, because I definitely was not only mad at God, grew up Christian, so I believed in God. I don't know. It's so confusing sometimes.
sure.
Um, but grew up very Christian guy, so like I was angry with him or whoever is above the universe even. But I was also mad at my mom. You might be asking yourself, Isaiah, what do you mean you were mad at your mom? Uh, well, as a 15-year-old, as a child, there's a lot of things you don't understand about the world,
Hmm.
because you haven't seen a lot of the world, and so my brain kind of I have abandonment issues.
Well, yeah, that would likely stem from something like that happening.
Oh, see, I already had abandonment issues because my dad left before I was born. Um,
Oh, okay.
hence why I said I didn't have any positive male figures except my grandfather. But so when my mom passed away, my brain kind of rationalized it during the anger step, at least rationalized it as she left me
Oh,
specifically.
yeah, yeah.
But also
Okay.
I was mad at myself because I convinced myself that it's my fault that she passed away.
Wow,
Uh,
okay.
so it's a large range of emotions with a lot of or like a wide range of thoughts, honestly. Um, and let me tell you, after what 6 years of therapy, there's a lot that I'm still learning and unlearning and unpacking. Um, and it's something I've learned is you never stop grieving, no matter what the grief is. Um, and that's not just with like somebody passing away. That could be relationships. That could be friendships. You're never gonna stop grieving. It'll get easier, typically, but then there's gonna be those days where it just hits you like a goddamn truck.
Like you kind of cycle through depression and acceptance.
Yeah,
To like this
absolutely.
is maybe not maybe acceptance seems like a strong word for it if you're able to like sort of slip backwards up the stages.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I kind of think about it is instead of just like slipping through like one stage, it's more so you kind of re-slip through all those stages, but in a lot quicker succession because you've already
Oh,
been through like
okay.
the big one, and then like there's just days where you just kind of recycle through it again.
I see. So
Uh,
like you're generally at acceptance, but
yeah,
then there are
like
certain
I can
days
sit
that where
here
you
and
just
I make
and then
jokes
denial, anger,
all the
bargaining,
time,
depression. Yeah.
unfortunately for other people, because they're like, Isaiah, you can't say that. And I'm like, listen, I think I, of all people, am allowed to say things like that. One of my
Right.
favorite things is to say that I'm an orphan,
Oh
um,
yeah,
because I don't have
that's a
parents.
fun one.
I'm pretty sure I said that around you before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't have parents. And obviously people are like, "Oh my God, Isaiah, that's not okay." And I'm like, "Why? It's my experience. Am I not?"
What
But
about
then
the
there's
other
days.
orphans out there? You don't
No,
think
that's fair.
you're offending them?
No, they're fine. Um,
That's what you're gonna get canceled for. You making an
it,
"I'm an orphan" joke,
it's
and
fine. I don't have
orphans of America are gonna
parents.
come after you.
But listen, 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 listen. I think you shut up. Uh, but no, but like it's one of those things where it's like the things that you say definitely have truth to it. Because there will be a lot of days where I'll make jokes like, "Oh yeah, I don't have parents. I'm an orphan." Then there's like that one day where it's like, "Damn, I don't have parents. I really am an orphan. This is not. This sucks."
Yeah.
And like it's rough too because I definitely have days where I kind of get jealous of other people and because they have parents still or like they had parental figures throughout their life and I'm like that must be nice.
Yeah.
I wish I had that.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
And it obviously it like comes from a place of like it's not meant to be jealousy or envy, but it just comes from a place of sadness that turns into that because it's like, damn, that really sucks. Especially when like I hear how some people have like some people's relationships with their parents, you know? And I'm
Mhm.
like, I get it, that sucks. But also I wish I could have at least
Yeah.
that, you
It
know?
sucks that you get to go through that, but I wish I could experience it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that sounds terrible to say out loud, but like it's the truth sometimes. Cause I'm like, but it's also hypocritical of me because I kinda got into it with, one of my family members a couple I think, like, last year, because they were no, it wasn't my family, it was somebody who I was friends with who didn't really know my living situation. Not living, but my relationship with my family situation, because I don't feel close to them at all, if I'm being completely honest with you. That's due to
Right.
trauma, but that's a question time another time.
Sure.
But we were just talking about it, and they were basically like, "Well, even if you do have issues with your family, I still think you should, cherish what little time you have with them because you've already lost your mom, and like you never know how much longer you have with them." Blah 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 blah. And I was like, "I get that, I do, but you don't know." What my circumstances are. Because they were coming at it from a place of like trying to relate to me because their grandparents had passed away. And they're like, I wish
Oh,
I had
yeah.
spent more time with them and stuff like that. And I was like, I get it. Trust me. I think I of all people would understand that. But just because that's true doesn't change the situation that I have with some of my family members, you know?
Yeah, it
Um,
gets real complicated when family is there. When
oh
they're
no,
involved in things,
absolutely.
it can yeah.
Absolutely. Like right now, it's real tough on my family, I'm gonna be honest. I got a
Mm.
couple of people that I talk to, not very many actually, that I talk to in my family, like, more than once a week. Uh, I want to start talking to my family more, but again, trauma sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think a lot of
attachment issues suck
people,
too.
yeah, a lot of people I think don't even have that good of a relationship with their family. You know,
Nah,
I mean, obviously, I'm living with family and around family right now,
yeah.
but you're not.
No, I
And I
haven't lived
mean,
with family
even
for quite some time.
my brothers aren't. So it's like I
Yeah,
don't know if they are as close to the family as I am. I don't know. I doubt. I mean, I'm obviously not as close to the family as some of my other family members are.
yeah,
It's like I think everybody sort of has a different arm's length, distance,
absolutely.
close up kind of relationship with them.
No, yeah, you're 100% right about that. Um, for me, damn, I just put all my business out there. It's fine, I don't care. Uh, no, for me, I kind of realized that a lot of my family kind of put on this facade of closeness, and I don't like it. I don't like
Oh, okay.
faking that.
Yeah.
And so because of that, that's another reason why I'm not very close with my family is because they kind of put on this front that we're such this close knit, tight family,
Right.
when in reality, like most families, there's a lot of dysfunction and a lot of issues that
Sure.
unfortunately don't get talked about. And if they do get talked about, it just doesn't go anywhere because people get really defensive. Um, and so, like, I've been learning a lot of stuff about my family I had no idea because nobody talks about this stuff. Like,
Right,
for
yeah.
example, um, my aunt helped me, get a doctor's appointment back when I had the flu because I needed to get a doctor's appointment for work so I could get a sick note. Because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't have COVID. At least I tested for COVID and I didn't test positive. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I just really don't feel good. I went
Right.
to the doctor and I found out I had the flu, which is the first time in a long time I've had the flu. Um, but yeah, and so what's it called? She was kind of coaching me on how to go about doing that, and she was like, if they ask you like if you have a history of history of illness in your family, what are you going to tell them? I was like, well, I know my mom had, congestive heart failure and high blood pressure, stuff like that. She goes, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to give you the list of all the medical issues that our family has. And when I say she gave me a list, I didn't know like 90% of the stuff on this list was in my
Ah,
family
yeah.
because nobody talks about this stuff.
Yeah,
And I was like,
we
this would have
have
been nice to know.
multiple lists of those, like, like, "Oh, yeah, my great-granddad had this," and, that runs in the genes. So, like,
Yeah.
there's a chance it might skip you, there's a chance I might have it. Like, "Oh, great, that's
Hell,
fun."
it was high school before I learned that my grandpa had sickle cell anemia and so do I.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Which is unfortunately why I can't donate blood anymore.
Oh,
Among other reasons, but that's a conversation for another
right.
time.
Oh, well, one of the
Uh,
questions before we get too far off of it, one of the questions that I had
mhm,
was I'm not sure if you remember. Okay, so when like I got the news on Wednesday,
mhm,
that's basically what's still really fresh in my head
mhm,
is the sort of the physical sensations that I was going through because a lot of them I did not recognize. And
yeah.
so I was wondering if you remembered what the physical feelings that you experienced were like. Like, okay, to give you an
Hmm,
example, I had a really bad stomach ache that started on about a minute and a half, not a minute, maybe an hour into it. Like I just started like my stomach got basically into a little knot and stayed
mhm.
there for the next 7 hours.
Like almost like that pit in your stomach feeling?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't remember, I would be honest with you. But assumedly, once it finally settled in at least, because still very much did not it was surreal in the worst way. Because it was surreal in the sense that it was unbelievable that it was happening for me. And it didn't again set in for real until my grandpa told me that she was gone. Um And when that happened, that's when everything just everything came out. The only thing I remember is being unable to breathe because I was crying so hard, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
then just being exhausted from crying so much. I can say that there is one time where I did feel that like pit in the stomach feeling though. Um, and it was when years prior. No, no, it was a couple years later actually, if not like the next year. Uh, I was playing video games on my Xbox, and my spirit just felt off. Very like something did not feel good, and I just got this disgusting, like sharp pain in my stomach that if it was a pit or not, I don't know, but it was like so bad that I had to stop what I was doing and just like, whoa, what the hell is this? And
Hmm.
I think I was maybe 16, 17 at this point. I think I was 16 though. Um, because something just didn't feel right in my spirit, and I was like, what's going on? Something is not right. And so something told me to call up my best friend, and I called her. And I was like, "Hey, something doesn't feel right with me. I just wanted to check on you and see if you're doing all right." And as I called her, she had just got news that one of her relatives had passed away.
Oh,
And
wow,
it was a
okay.
relative she was the closest to.
Whoa.
Uh, and I think I've felt that way maybe one other time recently. But anytime something feels off in my spirit, I always check on some of my close friends. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Something doesn't feel right. I just want to check on you," because I don't know what caused me to immediately think of her and call her and see if she's okay. But ever since that point, that's the only time I remember feeling that like that knot in my stomach. But if I feel anything even remotely close to that, I always go to check on her first
Hmm.
because something has us connected in a way that's ethereal at this point. Because
Yeah, that's
I
an
want you to
interesting, like, superpower kinda thing.
I want you to explain to me how the heck that happened.
Yeah, that's, hear stories about, like, that happening a ton, where people are like they just get that weird feeling, and then
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of them don't progress to the point that where you, like, called somebody and got sort of like an instant feedback confirmation of this gut feeling, like, "Something is off. I'm going over here to talk to this person. Okay, this is probably why, like, this just happened." It's like
Yeah.
sometimes people will, pass on, and then you just feel really terrible, and you don't even know the news until, like, the next day. And then you're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, wow." So, like, I started feeling bad at 8, and they passed away at, like, 7:45.
Yeah.
Like, how on earth does that work? Yeah, that's one of those weird spiritual things that, yeah, really
Yeah.
unexplainable.
It's it was definitely a wild experience and definitely a lot of anxiety for sure. And ever since then, if I ever feel something remotely close to that, I get extremely anxious 'cause I'm like, "No, please not again."
Oh, yeah, yeah. Let's see, I don't know where I'm at in this process because I feel
Well,
like I
I
feel
can
like
tell you so
yeah.
I can tell you this, no matter where you think you're at, you're not where you're at. And this is very fresh for you. So you're gonna depending on how close you were, considering you're living in his house and you're pretty close with him, it's gonna take some time, no matter how far you think you are. Because let me tell you, there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, I'm done grieving. And then all of a sudden it hits me like an 18 wheeler on a freeway.
Yeah, that's fair. Because, like, well,
Uh
okay, so looking at it because I've tried to analyze this myself, and I
yeah.
haven't, because I haven't really found out, where. I haven't nailed down a point yet. Because I think, like, on the day, I feel like I went through them pretty quickly, but I skipped a couple steps because it
Mhm.
was sort of like I found out, or rather, my cousin was with him and then called me, and we were like, "Okay, we have to tell his wife, our grandma." And
Yeah.
so it went like I just skipped through. uh, I mean, maybe it was denial, but without even saying denial, where it
Yeah.
just was like, "Okay, I am not the problem right now. The problem is we have to tell his wife." And
Mhm.
so we had to go and deal with that. And so then it was like, "All right, let's stoic our way through this. Tell her, and then start basically the tree, the phone tree, to let all the immediate family members and everybody else know about this."
Mhm.
And so it was probably like an hour and a half through before, like, I was just like, doing my best to comfort people. and then there was just like a gut punch where I started feeling that pit in my stomach, and that's when like just emotion started coming up that I didn't think about or
Mhm.
feel. Not well, obviously I was feeling the feelings, but it was like I didn't know where they were. Just it was just an instant onset, and it was kind of like okay, I like now I'm like she's crying, and now I'm having to cry here. So let's
Yeah.
just it's like try and control it. It's like I'm used to just sort of quashing even when like a movie makes me cry. It's like I just kind of kill that response, being like
Yeah.
this is not productive. But in that
If
moment,
you
I was like, this might be productive. I should probably let this happen.
mhm.
Really, I just didn't. Maybe I just didn't have the willpower to quash it. So I just went, yeah, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna do it, and we'll see how it feels on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that works properly for you, but in my experience, you're using my own experience. I was not done grieving until my body and soul decided I was done grieving. My mind said multiple times, "No, we're done now. It's okay. We've gone through what we need to go through." But my body and my mind, uh, not my body and my soul are kind of independent of each other or
Okay,
of my
sure.
brain, my mind. Uh, and so like you could, for me, I thought I was good a lot of times. Uh, and there'd be times years later, hell, in high school, there would be times where I would just break down crying in the middle of the class, because it was rough. But again, I was a kid.
Sure,
But
sure.
I feel like at least for me, I think grief is more of like a slow burn. It's something that's gonna
Oh,
take time for it to burn out,
you think
as
it might be
opposed,
coming back
yeah.
in
I,
waves, basically?
and like I said, you're never gonna be done grieving. I think grief will always come back. It just gets easier to deal with the more times it does. Hopefully. Um, but yeah, it's like if you had a fresh wound, right? Initially, that stuff hurts real bad, but over time, it starts healing itself. But that doesn't change the fact that the wound is there.
Right.
Or even
Yeah.
a scar. It becomes a scar at some point, and so then you'll just be reminded that you have that scar, over time. And the more times you look at it and remember you have that scar, the easier it is to remember. Oh yeah, I got this scar. I feel
Yeah.
that wasn't a good analogy.
I think no, I'm following what you're saying. I am.
Yeah.
I think like where I'm at, I would say is I think on the day, I
Mm.
think I feel like I speed ran it really
It's
because I
possible.
went through like all like I never felt anger or
Mhm.
this thing, and I'm looking at is why is this happening? Who's to blame? Because like I think anger and bargaining, I think I just dismissed
Yeah.
because intellectually, like
It
there
doesn't make
is no one to blame. I
sense.
mean, he was old.
Yeah.
We've known that he's been struggling. We've known that his health has been on the decline. We've been doing our best. I mean, he survived crazy stuff like getting run over by a 10-ton tractor before. So it's
Mhm.
like if he's gonna go out, it's gonna be like what could possibly do that? And so there was no like who's to blame, and I didn't feel like I bargained at all.
It's possible. I mean, I think the 5 stages might be more of, like, a guideline than, like, a everybody goes through this, honestly. Because like
I definitely felt the other 3 because
yeah,
I instantly went into denial and went, "Okay, I'm not
as one
dealing with this.
does.
I need to help the other people in my family, like
Yeah.
his wife and all the 3 daughters that now we're having to call at 10, 11 p.m. when everybody's sort of already in bed or asleep or whatever, and then
Mhm.
afterwards going to the hospital with them and doing what we had to do. Uh, and so it was sort of a denial into like I guess depression. This says I'm too sad to do anything. I didn't know if that didn't
I feel
feel
like
right.
okay. Alright, so listen. I think again, I think it's more of a guideline, And I feel like that's more of the. I feel like that's more. Those seem to be more like more severe versions of what it could be because you could have gone through a couple of those, but they weren't as like hard hitting. It could just be something as simple as, "Damn, I'm not feeling good," or like, "Oh, damn, I got the big sad." But it doesn't necessarily mean like, "Oh, I can't get out of bed, I can't do anything." Because depression, let me tell you, depression is something that it's got different layers and different levels to it. Just
Right.
because I had to learn this growing or a lot these last couple of years that even though I don't feel the way I did when my depression was at its worst, doesn't mean I wasn't dealing with depression. It just means that it wasn't hitting me as hard that day as it was different days. So I think that's the same with grief. I think you very much could have like skipped through some of them, or hell, might even be going through them out of order. Um, in one
There's
way or
another
another.
picture here where it's like a circle, but then everything inside is also connected.
Yeah.
So it's like you could just go denial to depression to then acceptance, then all the way over to anger.
Ooh,
Okay,
let's
I mean, I
see.
guess that makes sense.
I found this picture on Quora. Let me see if I can pull it up. That I think might describe what you're going through. No, I don't want the link. I want the picture.
Like I said,
Yeah.
this is sort of the first time I'm really going through this, so I'm like, and I don't feel like I mean, I think my mom and her sisters are way more connected to him than I was because
Why are you
I
doing
was
that?
just the grandkid and just kind of like
Yeah.
have been here for a little while. This an
Mhm.
image? Is this a download? What on earth?
I don't
Good
know.
lord.
I don't know why I did that. But yeah, apparently
Uh,
this is more of a and more in depth of stages of grief. Uh,
and
but
that right
yeah,
side's real messy, but that
I f-
I like the other side.
I think the right side is more accurate to what it really is like. For those who aren't looking or who can't see, nobody can see. On the left side, it's a stages of grief little chart, and it's
It's a
kind
little
of like
U-shaped.
a little U shape, yeah. Uh, and so it starts on the left, it goes to the right, and theoretically, you would go through each of these different kind of emotions from the left to the right. But then somebody put their experience with it, and they just scribbled all over it because they didn't feel everything in that same order. They felt things all over the place, and I think that's more accurate to what grief is really like, honestly.
Yeah. They're definitely I like the other words within here.
Yeah,
I don't know which side you're starting on.
I thought it was the
I think it
left.
is maybe the left.
I'm assuming the left because it starts with loss
Yeah,
hurt,
and then at the
and
yes, with the
then
end up at loss adjustment
yeah, because
because
the
it
left one
was
seems more like internal, and the right side seems more external.
yeah, like shock, numbness. Those two definitely happened
Yeah,
because it was wait, what just happened? Okay, and then it was I guess an intentional numbness of now we have to go and deal with this other thing,
yeah,
which could fit into the denial section of this. Which the next step
maybe.
being emotional outbursts, which definitely happened. I randomly started crying and my stomach hurt.
hmm
Didn't get angry, didn't get afraid, I guess. I'm not sure what searchings is.
I feel like that might be kind of going with the bargaining a little bit, like searching for like answers and
Oh,
or
like
like
a good
searching.
reason for why this is happening.
Yeah,
Like, why is this happening now? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So again, that didn't happen. Disorganization. There was some
panic.
chaos. I mean, yeah, trying to call people and start organizing things.
hmm
Panic. Panic.
I feel like for me,
I
panic
haven't
was
panicked yet.
synonymous with shock.
Yeah, I think that fits in there.
Guilt.
Then
I definitely felt a lot of that. Let me tell you.
at the bottom of this little pit is loneliness, guilt, and isolation, which I guess are all three the same thing. Or maybe you go guilt, then loneliness, then isolation.
I mean, they might. They're in the same little circle kind of area, so I feel like they might go hand in hand, honestly.
Yeah,
Or
I
maybe it's saying
hmm.
like in loneliness, it could be guilt and or you isolate yourself. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're lonely, you could be isolating yourself on purpose. If you feel guilt, you could be isolating yourself. If
Yeah,
you're, already isolated, you could be feeling guilty about that isolation.
yeah, probably. Then of course we have depression, which
Yeah.
that's self-explanatory. Re-entry troubles. I feel like that is somebody who's experienced heavy grief, and they're struggling to like reintegrate themselves with like society. Not society, but like whoever is involved, you know? I
Yeah.
think I still have issues with that, if I'm being completely honest.
Still in the re-entry phase, or at least that's where
Well,
you're kind of baseline, but then you're also moving up quite a bit.
like I'm definitely, I'm pretty sure I've made it through this multiple times at this point, but I guess because I have issues with relationships, just with people in general. Um, and so I think the reentry troubles is just a constant thing for me, especially with
Yeah,
people who I
if
used
this
to
is
have.
like circular kind of, I mean, it's obviously
Yeah,
U-shaped, but if this is you sort of start here and then randomly reset and have to run through it again,
yeah, sometimes. Which is
that's where
why I was
you
like,
find yourself struggling on the re-entry section.
yeah, that's why I don't have a close relationship with a lot of my family members.
Hmm.
But we can talk about that later.
Yeah, once you've gotten past the re-entry part, then you get to form
That's
new
when we
relationships.
get more positive things happening.
Yep. New relationships, new strengths, new patterns. Then you
And I
feel
think this
hope.
is all might be in the acceptance kind of area.
That would make sense. Yeah. Then affirmation, I guess that's like you're done with the acceptance part.
Hmm.
And then, then you either, I guess you could choose to help others, or you
Yeah,
could just hang out at affirmation that, yep, this is reality.
it's life.
Yeah.
Whoa. Um, but yeah, grief sucks.
Yeah.
It's
This,
necessary, but it sucks.
I didn't think we would be able to talk about this for the whole podcast, but here we are.
Hey, I mean, I had a lot to bring up, I guess.
Yeah.
Re-traumatize myself,
It's
you know?
good. It's good information because I'm, on Tuesday, I think is when we get to do the viewing, and then the burial is the next day, or the service, or
Mm,
whatever you want to call it.
the funeral?
Yeah. So I'm not quite through with the process yet. I
Yeah.
guess we will be on Wednesday. But on the
Hopefully,
bright
so
side, I'll
theoretically.
get to hang out with my brothers.
Yeah, you haven't seen them in a while.
It's been since 2 Decembers ago.
God dang.
Yep.
Was that when you were? Because Jackson was here for a while,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't he? And because then you guys came up here to do your ghost stories, ghost hunting.
Yes.
Because that's when we went to Goatman's Bridge.
That was like 3 years ago. That
3
was a
years
while
ago.
back. Yeah, that was before
Okay.
he went to Japan.
Oh, okay, okay. I see.
But I guess we didn't get to talk about my other two.
Oh, forgive me. Sorry.
We're probably wrapping it up here. But tune in next time for a hopefully not so sad. I hope this was cathartic for some people.
It was for me.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I hope that I don't know if next time I'll have new information, about
Yeah.
my experience of this funeral, but uh yeah, hopefully next time it'll be a bit more happy. I just won't delete these other two
Yeah, we'll
kind of
just talk
goofy
about that next
topics.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully the plan is we have like one depressing episode every couple months because life happens, you know.
True.
It's how it
Yeah.
is sometimes. It can't be helped. If we were only
Yeah.
a good, happy-go-lucky podcast, would we be real with ourselves?
Yeah, true. I think I think humor is a coping mechanism that a lot of people use. I definitely use it.
Oh,
Like
absolutely, same.
my cousin and I were, kind of cracking jokes while we were just hanging out in the hospital room,
Mm-hmm.
just talking, and I think it really brings the family together, brings the unit closer, and
Oh,
know that
absolutely.
if you're experiencing the same thing, to any of our listeners out there, that there are people that are going through this too. And if you ever need to talk, we've got DMs
Yeah,
on Twitter. You can follow us
we
on there.
totally answer those.
Yeah, I try and check it once a day because I have to like our own tweet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's something we have to do. Now we get to
Oh boy.
we get to devise 4 jokes out of this podcast for this week.
I don't know how we're gonna be. I mean, jokes. We'll
It's
see what
gonna get
happens.
real dark this week, guys.
I mean, we could do. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't have to put out those this week though. But
True, that's true.
yeah, I don't even know what we would do for a poll. Anyways,
We'll figure it out.
we'll
Yeah.
talk to you guys next, or
Yep.
we'll talk next time. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.